Leslie Thomas. We also have David Rodriguez, who recently worked as economic deputy for this area, David. And many others that are not here anymore. Victoria Woods, Bill Thomas, Marie Jean-Marie. I just want to salute them for their efforts and acknowledge them. And of course there is our current CEO, Chris Essel, who you will hear from later on today. So at this point, I would like to also just acknowledge some other members who are here. We have Mr. Leon Jenkins from the NAACP. We have Ted Thomas, who is the Park Mesa Heights Community Council. Michael Jones, who is the president of the Crenshaw Chamber of Commerce. Chris Pearson, who is from Mayor Antonio Villaraigosa's office. We have Jason Lombard, who is here from the Baldwin Hills Crenshaw Mall. Is Ken Lombard also here? Okay. Joe Rusan of Community Development Department. Denny Schneider, Westchester Playa Vista Council. Honorable Diane Watson, very glad to see you. Gary Tobin of the LA Chamber is also here. Sydney Comlotter, who is with Assemblywoman Holly Mitchell's office. Robert Cole, who is the president of the Baldwin Hills Estate Homeowners Association. And Adrian Mayberry, one of the original CAC members and a very long time activist here in the Crenshaw area. Welcome all of you. Now at this point it is my pleasure to introduce our first speaker, Councilman Bernard Parks. Marlton Square has been a key concern for Councilman Parks throughout his tenure, and I'm sure this is a very special day for you, Councilman. So please welcome Councilmember Bernard Parks.
Good morning. I just want to tell you before we get started, this is the real deal. This is the real deal. I've been to 5 groundbreakings on this site. This is the real deal. This is going to happen. We are so pleased to be here today and to bring to this community what they deserve. And that is a first-class facility, a first-class commercial, a first-class anchor tenant. And it's something to which, if you've driven by this site in the last month, to see the demolition and the view that you have that you used to come by and dread and roll up your windows and not look to the south or the north, you look at it and you say, when are they going to do something about it? Well, we're going to do something about it. This has been a journey since 2003 for us that we went through at least 2 years with a developer, and it went in through default. Many people in the community did not understand that as we move forward, while it was in bankruptcy, there's nothing we could do. Our hands were tied. But one of the things, we had a young lady that came to our office from the CRA, and she said, there is something we can do. We can buy as much of this property as we can for the city. We can then put ourselves in a leveraged position so that when it comes out of bankruptcy, we will have some say in how it gets developed. And I want to thank Carolyn Hull. All right, go sit down now. You're on my time now. But Carolyn came up with a strategy that aided us in being in a position that when the bankruptcy was over, that we had to really an ability to sit down at the table and begin to construct a deal. Her boss, Chris Essel, is here. Where's Chris was speaking earlier? There's Chris over here. David Riccatello. Now, where's David? Is he? David's not here. Okay. And then also all the members for the last several years of the Crenshaw CAC. And Joyce Perkins was a member of that. They're the ones that kept their eye on the ball and said something had to happen here. And so those are the kinds of people from the community that made sure that they were going to have some say. We have some new terminology today because of the demise of the CRA. We now have something called a CRA designated local authority. We got to thank Tim McCosker. Tim McCosker worked on this project as a member of Mayor Hahn's staff. Now he's in a decision-making capacity to decide on projects that are coming out of CRA, and we thank him for his involvement, Me Simpkins, and also Nelson Rising. And so they were the people that made a decision that this project had gone far enough as a contract to continue on, and that CRA would not lose control over it. We also have an oversight board, and Hamid Bahad is he. I saw him earlier. Hamid, there he is right here. Hamid made a decision and voted in our favor to move this project forward. We also have to thank Supervisor Gloria Molina. She played a major role, and when I spoke with her, her first inclination, let's sell it and get the money and everybody share the money. And we said, Supervisor, we've been waiting for 25 years. 25 years. She voted in our favor, and we're very appreciative. We can't talk about this project without saying where the money came from. Richard Benbow. We drove him crazy. Richard, stand up, Richard. There were terms I had never heard of when I got in office. 108 money, gap money, all that stuff. Richard put this deal together with Scotch tape, glue, and smoke. And basically, and at the time, had to go through a massive audit where people were saying from the federal government, did you use the money properly? This money is what allowed us to buy 20% of this property that now gets us here today to be a partner in this project. So Richard, thank you very much. And Richard's staff, when Richard wasn't available, Rodney Gaskin was there to help us get this done. So we're very appreciative of the city family. Another person, most of us probably, when people make impacts on our community, many times you see them in the paper or whatever. I want to introduce you to two people that you may never see in the paper. You may never meet again, but they're the reason we're here today, and that's David Rentz and Michael Molo. Right over here. When this property was coming out of foreclosure, we were all concerned as to who was going to buy it and what their intent was. And we thought if some land speculator bought the property, then they would sell it the highest bidder, and then we'd have to start all over again figuring out what we're going to do with it. We met David Rentz and Michael Molo, and they came in and they said, we bought the property, we're a local company, we're in Torrance, but let us tell you what our vision is about the property. We're just not buying it just to buy it. We're not land banking it. Certainly we want to get our money back, but we will guarantee you before we sell the property, because we're not going to develop it, before we sell it, we will guarantee you that you will have a development that the community will be pleased with, and you will find as a benefit to this community. And that's what they promised. I'll never forget the first day they came in and they looked at us and they said, hey, we think we have an anchor tenant. So the minute your mind starts going, said, okay, they're going to bring us a 100,000 square foot big box and things that people would say in the community, please don't bring us that, things of that nature. And they looked over and they said, we have a anchor tenant that we think you'd be pleased with. We said, what's that? And they said, how would you like to have a major medical center in the middle of your community? So we looked at them and we said, well, number one, we don't have a medical facility. We have a community that often is underinsured. Many people do not have health insurance. We also lead the league in things like diabetes. We lead the league in people, unfortunately, smoking. We lead the league in all of these health-driven food diseases. So why wouldn't we want a major facility that's going to bring in several hundred employees, professional employees, that can provide services to our community? Plus, as we develop the larger part of the development, we have a customer base, because these employees would have to come here to go to work, and where would they eat? Where would they go and shop? They'd have a customer base right here. So we didn't want to get over emotional, and that was, I think, Dennis was here when we were talking about it, and then Purvey took over. And it just goes to show, when you want something done, give it to a woman, because Dennis failed. Dennis failed, David failed, all those people. The people that brought this to light was Purvi and Carolyn. So remember, if you want something done, so those are the people that brought it home. They're the ones that rode it through the finish gate. And so I want to say, when you get a chance today, make sure you go over and say thank you to David Rentz and Michael Molo, because without, excuse me, lady, I'm up here at the microphone. Thank you. Oh, I know. She was just letting me know I forgot something. Let me introduce my wife, Bobby Park. I did. No, excuse me.
I know, but come.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Hold my time.
That's David right there.
They're coming up in a minute, Robert. You got to read the program. This is David Rentz. He's the one that came to us, and his partner.
No, Sam McIntosh. Mike's not here.
Okay. Sam, I'm sorry. Thank you, Purvi. I'm gonna give you a bad mark. Thank you, Sam. But no, they are the two that came to us in the sense of putting this together. And the thing is, part of my prenuptial 40-some years ago is I had to introduce my wife at every event I go to, and I made a mistake today, so she introduced herself. So that kind of gives you a history of how we got here. I think it's been a interesting journey, particularly since 2006. We wish we had met CMM in 2006 and did not have to go through this bankruptcy and a few other things. But one of the things I think we'll be pleased that this is going to be a much better project than what was designed back in 2003 and 4. If the project that had been designed in 2003 and 4 had been built, the likelihood is we'd be suffering one of the largest foreclosure rates, because 80% of the property was going to be single-family homes, and they'd be suffering the same plight as other residential communities. And I think those are the kinds of things that we have to think about. The last two people I want to thank very much, and these are, I call them our angels, Jamie Brooks from C.B. Richard Ellis and his partner Dean Haney. They're right here. They're the realtors that put this project together and are still working on bringing us a developer for the remaining 11 acres. And so it's our hope that with the announcement of this first 8.5 acres, that's the anchor tenant, and then to look towards 120 to 150,000 square foot of commercial, the kind of commercial that you've been asking us for, sit down restaurants, stores, things that you don't have to get in your car and drive over to Inglewood and on Century Boulevard or in Culver City and leave our tax dollars there instead of spending them in the city of Los Angeles. So that's what we're hopeful for. And so let's see, I've rolled the drumbeat. Let me just ask one other thing. My staff, Bernard Jr., that's my wife's son. He's right here. And let me ask 8th District staff, Purvi, all of the 8th District staff come up because they needed applause because they have worked tirelessly not only on this event. Christine, Patrice, Kathy, come on up. Ashley, come on. Ken, William here. William is the guy, if you have things like Twitter, Facebook, and all that stuff. William understands it where nobody else does. So whatever you get on Twitter, if it's good, it came from me. If it's not good, if there's a typo in it, it came from William. So is that the whole staff? Vince, come on up. And then we got Caesar. We got Lano. Where's Deanna and Brittany? Now you see our staff looks like the United Nations, and we're very pleased with that. And that's what Christine runs our field operations. And then Bernie's one of our field deputies, and Brittany right here is the newest member. She's our press person. Ken is a field deputy. Vince just came in and he does one of our legislative jobs. Patrice handles all of the west side of our district. Caesar handles the central part of the district. Ashley's one of our, don't be around Ashley on Halloween because she gets a little freaky about things like that. But she does one of our administrative assistants and deals with all of our bus programs for the kids. And then, let's see, who else did I miss? Deanna's one of our interns. Lano's been our prime person on redistricting and basically has a significant understanding of all of our computer systems and things like that. Did I miss anybody? Kathy, where's Kathy? Kathy, put that cigarette down and come on up here. And then Bobby's son, Bernard, is our chief of staff. Come on, Kathy. Thank you very much, staff. Okay, now I'm going to tell you what the announcement is. The major medical, Bern, they give me a thing where somebody's going to pull that sign. Okay, then I shouldn't read the note that says, pull the banner and reveal the name.
Okay. You want to do it now or you want to do it later?
Okay, shit. Are you ready? Lano, would you go over there and pull that banner?
Hold on. They got to break down now.
Okay. Huh?
They got to break down and shoot it.
Oh, okay. All right. So we're going to follow the directions. Pull on the banner and reveal the name. All right. Ready? Is the media ready?
Hold on. We got to wait for it.
Okay. You ready? Now.
Everybody ready?
You ready? All right. We'll give him a countdown. All right. We're in the 8th district currently. And so we're going to count down from 8. All right, ready? 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Go Caesar! So that's our announcement. Kaiser Permanente will be bringing a major medical facility. They will be housed on the south part of this lot off of Santa Rosalia. Most of the frontage here off of King will be available for our commercial development, and so they will be our primary tenant. And if you worked with Kaiser in the past, once they make a commitment, you know it's going to be done. They not only made a commitment, they in fact paid more than the face value of the property to make sure that they could insure this facility. When we talked to Kaiser, they said the reason this site was so important for them is, number one, it's in the heart of their membership pool. And it's also in the heart of those of the community in which needs medical insurance. So they're looking at it as a win-win. So thank you very much for being here. Gary, thank you. I don't have my, me, thank you. I mentioned me earlier. She's on that review board that helped us get this through, and we're so appreciative of that. So thank you very much. Well, the thing is, now see, you got a congresswoman here who wants to know the basics. How long are we going to get this done? How long? Well, let me say this. My best guess, and I'll ask Purvey, my understanding, if Kaiser would close escrow last week, finalize this week, that it would take about 18 months for 15 to 18 months for the entitlements, and then once they get that, they can start building. We hope before the next couple of weeks, we will identify who the developer is on the commercial, and depending on what type of project, if it's all by right, then it's going to be a much easier, smoother, and faster process. So I would think that before July 1st, 2015, when Bernard Parks goes into retirement, we're going to have something here that we can all celebrate. And so that's what we're here for. But thank all of you for being here, and thank you for giving me this cue, Purvey, because I made Bernard do something he didn't want to do. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Councilman Parks, and thank you, Kaiser. I've been in Kaiser since 1969. I have 2 Kaiser babies, and I'm real happy to see them come. They're a wonderful medical organization, and they were cited as being #1 in the country on preventive care. on promoting preventive care. So that's real important. So I just want to have some of our dignitaries say a few words here. Valerie Shaw is our Public Works Commissioner, and I would like for her to come and say something briefly. Valerie has a long history in this of involvement and commitment to this community. She not only is a resident, but she worked as a deputy for former Councilwoman Ruth Galanter, and in her current position as and currently still working for this community as a Public Works Commissioner. So please welcome Valerie Shaw.
Good morning, everyone. Good morning, good morning. We want to congratulate Councilman Parks for everything that he's done. And as Joyce mentioned, 25 years ago, I was a council deputy here in Crenshaw for Ruth Galanter. And I was so much younger and so much thinner. And here we are, 25 years later. And now, you know, at that time, the whole issue was about rehabbing the mall. And this was called Santa Barbara Plaza. And the problem here was land assembly. There's so many owners here, it was hard to bring all the parcels together. But at that time, Hagen was interested in this land, but it didn't happen. But at that time, we also had similar people who are still here, active in the community, working, like Joyce and Adrian, and the late Joe Hubbard, who's not here with us, but he certainly was a hard worker with then was the Baldwin Hills Network, wasn't it? Baldwin Hills Crenshaw Network. Also at that time, we had also somebody who was younger and thinner, which was Richard Bimbo, our CR, and he was he was our lead from CRA at that time, and currently he's the general manager of the Community Development Department. So it's interesting how people have stayed in contact and stayed interested here, and here we are 25 years later. And we're sort of under the leadership of Bernard Parks. And I want to just spend a second thanking the people who, behind the scenes, who have really worked hard. And obviously we had Chris Esso, who is now head of the CRA. Chris, thank you so much for everything you've done to make this happen. And the people who day to day worked hard to make this happen: Carolyn Hull, and I'm certain she'll speak, Billy Chung, Chris Pearson from the mayor's office. He's young. He started out as an intern. Now he's one of the lead economic development persons from the mayor's office, and scores of others. And I also want to correct Joyce. You called Dennis David, but it's Dennis Rodriguez from formerly from Councilman Parks' office. You know, finally, when you think of politics, there's an adage that says, nothing ever happens in politics unless there's crisis or leadership. Crisis or leadership. So we want to thank Bernard Parks for his leadership that made something that took 25 years happen. Let's stand up. Let's give him a standing ovation. Bernard Parks. Thank you. Took 25 years, but he created the leadership. Thank you.
And I'd like to now have a few words from Honorable Diane Watson. Diane, when she was a congresswoman, met with us, and I just think that her leadership and her ideas were the turning point in helping to move the Marlton Square project forward, and so we certainly want to hear from you.
I want to thank you, Joyce. And Carolyn,
Yes.
you come and stand by my side, girl.
Apparently, I'm not. I can't stand
How many Angelinos do we have in this crowd? Born here. Okay. I was born on 50th and Central. And none of this existed. It was 1947 with vision that we built Crenshaw. And there were no homes up in these hills. There was no United Nations. There has been a tremendous demographic change in the city of Los Angeles. And are you aware that California is the first of 50 states to be a majority of minorities? You need to understand this. When this area was developed, it was developed as the first in the country mall or shopping center outside of downtown. 7th and Broadway, do any of you remember going to Bullock's? Okay. The J car down Jefferson going there, that's what we. So this was the first example of how you could diversify and move out of the center of your town. This was built. All of this came afterwards. So Bernard, I want to give it to you. Now, Bernard is in my family as well. My brother has 8 kids, and they all call your mother grandmother and aunts and uncles. So we own this. I want you to know it is ours. It grew out of those of us that are committed to the City of the Angels, staying on it 24/7. I was in office, Bernard, for 32 years. And Carolyn would come and sit with me when I was in Congress. You shoot her away, but I got to bring her at my side. We talked about a vision for our community. You know, and these are just visions. You know how visions come and they float away? Until we could get people sitting on our city council, sitting on our board of supervisors that had a commitment to this community, were you able to succeed? I want to thank Kaiser too. And I want to thank CRA, which I understand is going to fade away as all of our community agencies do. Remember the Watts riot? And how did we get Martin Luther King Hospital? I want to thank Kenny Hahn for that. Remember that? So it takes people that are dedicated, Bobby, and committed, Carolyn, and all the rest of you. Your father, Ms. Shaw, was the first black postmaster general. I was trying to get the title right. But anyway, you see, all of us that have a commitment can be responsible for this. So I want to thank you for allowing me to serve you, not only here in California, but in Washington and even overseas. And remember, it takes all of us to make things happen for us. Thank you very much.
Carolyn, I want you to stay here a second by me too, because I want to say something about Carolyn. Because when she came as the regional manager, she brought a lot of commitment and passion, but also But Carolyn also brought a lot of financial expertise and a lot of great ideas that I think helped turn this project around. So Carolyn, just say a couple of words, because I have more on the agenda, but I just think you deserve some time at the mic, sister.
Thank you. Thank you very much. And I want to thank you, the community, actually, because it was through our CAC meetings that I went through that I felt your passion for trying to make our community a better place. And I say our community because while I grew up in New Jersey, I grew up in an area quite similar to this, but quite frankly not as nice. And my mother had to, who had 5 children, was a single mother, had to walk to the supermarket. So I understand the need to having community services in your area. My mom, Rosie Hull, who's an immigrant to this country, said to me, Carolyn, make this place a better place. And I try to do that every day at my job as a regional administrator for South LA. You are my community. And this is quite frankly probably my last public appearance as a regional administrator for CRA-LA. And I've enjoyed every moment of it. And I've enjoyed even those CAC meetings. Well, I may not miss them, but I'll be honest with that. I've enjoyed working with Congresswoman Watson, and my goodness, Councilman Parks. There's very few ideas that I could come into Councilman Parks' office and I would say, Councilman Parks, I have this great idea. We're going to take all this federal money and we're going to buy up all these properties. And he looked at me and he said, that sounds like a good idea, Carolyn. You go for it. So I want to thank you, sir, for all of your support. When I needed it, you were always there for me. And when the community needed you, you were always there. My staff, even though I stand here before you, it's really my staff that does all the work. And Billy knows this statement. I always say, I get all the credit and they do all the work. So for the South LA staff who never gets as much credit as you should, can you please stand up? And can the community please applaud them for all the hard work that they've done? Jennifer Barrera, Billy Chun, Margie Francia, Victoria Wood, they've worked tirelessly for you. And so, thank you. Thank you. And this is a great day for all of us because this is the one project I really needed to see get done. It has been my passion. As Sydney said to me yesterday, she said, Carolyn, you've been like a dog with a bone with that Marlton Square project. And thank you for that. And thank you.
Thank you, Carolyn. And now I would like to introduce Chris Essel, who is the CEO of CRA LA. And Chris, I have to take my hat off to you. You came in at the most challenging time in the CRA's history, and you have led with dignity and stalwart and stability, and you've been able to stay on your feet, and I'm just amazed because I know what is going on and what you have to go through, and we appreciate it. Chris.
Thank you so much. I go back to Joyce's remarks that we all kind of cycle back to this project. I was on the commission in the 90s, from 92 to 99, and I actually served as chair of the CRA Commission for the last 3.5 years. So I know the troubled history of this project, and I just couldn't be happier to be here today to celebrate the fact that we are moving forward. As you know, the CRAs have been put out of business. I'm the head of something called the Designated Local Authority, and our job is to deconstruct the agency that I actually came there to run and have do great projects like this, and it's been horrible. But as Joyce said, I'm trying to do it with dignity, and it's tough. My whole mission, especially since the court put us out of business December 29th, has been to try to keep the chaos of unwinding 60 years of the CRA within our agency and not have it impact the projects that are in our pipeline that deserve to move forward. So for me, all has been said. I was going to cede my time to Carolyn too, but you already did that. So, it just feels good to be at an event where we are seeing something move forward that I in part came back to ensure happened when I joined the agency as the CEO. So thank you all for being here. Thank you for allowing me to speak.
That has to be a tough lady to do what she's doing right now. And now I want to introduce another person who's had a really big effect on all of the redevelopment in our project area, but particularly passion for this project. Richard Bimbo, who is the General Manager of Community Development Department. And I met Richard when I first started serving on the CAC in 1990. He was with the CRA. He's played an important role all along. He even served as the CEO for a period of time. And as I said, he's currently the General Manager of Community Development Department, still in up to his eyeballs with this project. Richard, would you come and have a few words, please?
Thank you, Joyce, and welcome to everybody, old friends, new friends, some people I remember seeing 25 years ago when we were here, and you'll recall, and if you were here the last time we had something, you'll recall I had said this as well. When we were standing across the street at the completion of the Crenshaw Baldwin Hills Mall, we looked across here at what was then called Santa Barbara Plaza, and we said, that's the next battleground, and we will get there, and we will get it done. But little did I know. But my remarks are going to be brief. To paraphrase Winston Churchill, he said something like, everything that needs to be said has been said by everybody. So I don't want to be redundant up here, but I do think it's appropriate to say a few words. You know, there are several sayings that come to mind that you recall hearing, you know, starting out in your youth and as you get older, the words don't have much meaning. And then as you mature, you understand the real meaning behind the words. One of the things I used to hear from my mother, she would always say, patience is a virtue. And as a youngster, you're impatient. You can't wait to get to the next big thing, or you can't wait to get that money in your hand, or that new car, or that new bike, or whatever it is that you want. And you just don't really understand the value of patience. Another thing I used to hear all the time is good things comes to those who wait, you know? And so what can be good about waiting, you know, when you want it now? What can be good about that? And then there was another phrase, delayed gratification. We shouldn't want immediate gratification. Delayed gratification is good because it makes you appreciate what you eventually earn, not get or given to you, but earn a lot more. So I think all of those words and phrases come to play now, and right now I'm feeling a lot of gratitude. I'm feeling very pleased and happy about the 25 years or more that I put into this project. I'm feeling very proud about the people that I stood alongside for that whole period, for those that joined us along the way, and those who just got here. We can all celebrate. We can all be happy. We can all be proud for something that has been accomplished here. I think the councilman has done an outstanding job. I can't think of a finer man, I can't think of a finer public servant than Bernard Parks. He and his staff and his family provided the leadership to keep moving this project forward when a lot of people thought it was dead. And when the Supreme Court rendered its decision on December 29th, you know, we had another episode where we thought it's all down the drain. But thanks to the diligence and leadership of Councilman Parks, Chris Essel, the CEO, Carolyn Hull, Purvi Dorsey, you are wonderful. Purvi hung in there with us, and we went through so many different scenarios and with Carolyn and trying to figure out how can we make this thing happen. So it's a rare occasion to look back and say, you know, you put in all that time and effort and you actually got it done. So it's with great gratitude that I stand before you here this morning and say, this is a proud day, but this is also a very proud community. I live around this community. I've lived here for a long time. I know the neighbors that I see going back and forth. There was a time when sometimes I'd have to hide coming to the mall because I thought people would ask me, Richard, when are you going to do something with that mall? So I'd pick my times very carefully when I went to shop at Crenshaw. I would even go incognito. I'd send my wife. I'd send my son. But today I can walk proud through the mall, through this vacant lot, and say, yeah, it's going to happen. It's going to happen. And so I just take pride in this moment, and I know you do too. So let's just take one big moment and give us all a big hand for being here and seeing it through. Thank you.
Okay, and finally, I will call the councilman back. And while he's standing here, I just want to say a word from the community that we really, really have appreciated and do appreciate the support that you've continued to give to us, to work with us, to try to help our dreams and visions become a reality, to take into consideration all of the things that we have wanted, and just to give us your continued support. I mean, that's all I can say. It's very much appreciated. You listened to us, you worked with us, and we greatly, and this is a part of the result, and I'm just very happy to say thank you on behalf of the community.
Could you just repeat the part that I listened to you? I want my wife to hear that.
He listened to us.
Thank you. That was from my wife because she swears I never listen. Thank you very much. One thing I forgot earlier, I think if we had to dedicate for me this day, it would be for Tom Bradley, who set this in motion. And, you know, one of the things that we could ill afford, we have so few things that often is in our history that we have to keep looking towards, but we really need to make sure that young people in our community never lose sight of who Tom Bradley was. That here's a man that basically ran the first African-American elected official of a major city that did not have a minority city that elected him. He has a record that nobody will ever break, 20 years as a mayor. And what's unfortunate at times is that the very things that he broke those barriers at City Hall and opened the doors to women and minorities, unfortunately, many of the young people in office today do not know why they're there and how they got there. And I think we have to continue working with the Bradley legacy. We're so pleased to have a post office named in his honor. We're working with, we hope eventually to get the Bradley legacy documentary done. That's being done by Mrs. Sotomayor. And then we hope one day to have a stamp during Black History Month in honor of Tom Bradley. So. The other person I'd like to make sure that we not forget, because to show what his personal commitment, I saw him at one of the, and he's deceased now, but I saw him at one of the ribbon cuttings, the multiple ribbon cuttings we've had. He actually cried with the name of Marlton Square, and that was Joe Hubbard. He was the guy that said he wanted to see this happen. He made a personal commitment, and so often people that make that effort are not here when it occurs. But we could never forget he or Bradley that said we're going to make this happen, and I'm so glad that all of you are here today. My final task today is we want to give out some certificates, and so I'd like to have David Rentz come up at this time. And the thing is, I mentioned him earlier. He's the one that had the vision when he bought it. Most of us are concerned about people who buy property and what they're going to do with it. He came with a vision. And David, I'd like you to say something to the crowd. I know you don't like to speak in public, but I want you to say. Okay.
Because I have something to say about Carolyn Hall, too.
Tell him, David. Don't tell him.
When we got involved in this project, we got a call from Carolyn Hall who said that we won't do anything unless it gets to the city and they approve what we're going to do, because they already had a vision. We've only been involved in this project for 24 months, but during that 24 months, thanks to Councilman Parks and the city and the help of Carolyn Hall and Sam McIntosh on our team, we were able to learn a lot about this project. What we did when we started, we interviewed 3 real estate companies, and we were very fortunate in that we ran across a gentleman named Jamie Brooks with CBS Richard Ellis. Jamie knew about the community, he knew about the history, he knew about all the people who had been involved in this project, and he has walked us through every step of the way, and we're very appreciative of everything that he's done. And we now do not own the property behind that fence. That's owned by Kaiser Permanente. And I know everyone here knows them and their vision and the quality of work that they do and what they bring to a community. So it was by a stroke of luck, not genius, that happened for us. So we're very appreciative of that, and thank you for all your help.
Thank you, Dave.
One last thing about Carolyn. We're still working on the front part, and I plan on working with her to get the retail development done.
All right. Let me bring our angel up. Jamie? Jamie put this deal together for us. CB Richard Ellis.
I'd like to plagiarize and reinforce the statement Councilman Parks made earlier. We're done. Because I wouldn't be here if we weren't. On behalf of CBRE, we're humbled, excited to be a part of this project. I make my business in this community, but this not only represents one of the most significant developments in the Crenshaw district, but honestly, throughout all of LA County. It's that impactful. So we look forward to seeing the project through and helping Kaiser through the entitlement process. And honestly, without Councilman Parks showing the leadership and the dedication, I don't think Kaiser would have ever committed to the project. But he reinforced what I told him on the phone, which I tend to talk a lot, but ultimately he backed me. So we're grateful. Thanks for coming out, and have a great day.
Okay, I'm going to do one more cert, because I have to make up to Carolyn. Carolyn? All right, I shooed you away earlier. Now, come on. No, let me get a hug.
Thank you.
Oh.
Yeah.
Let me say, we're going to basically, we have some staff search for Dennis Rodriguez, David Roberts, Pervy Doshi, and Mike Hernandez. We're going to give later. What we'd like to do, Carolyn and Joyce, if it's okay with you, as a conclusion, what we'd like to do is see if we can orderly move everybody in this area here so we can get photos of Kaiser coming above us, and that will be our conclusion. Is that a deal? Yeah. All right. 1, 2, 3. Boom.
Show.